Hi everyone, I'm the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you some of the orchid blooms in my garden. I want to start out showing you some of the blooms that are around me, and then I've got some plants that I don't really want to move, and I want to show you just what's going on with some of those. These are all the ones I want to share with you. Behind me are repeat bloomers, and I've got one first-time bloomer for me that I'll get behind the camera and show you at the end. All right, before I get started on this today, I do want to share an experience that I had. So I went and gave a talk to the Tropical Orchid Society in West Palm, Florida, and had such a great time there. I want to acknowledge all my new orchid friends, which are Donna, Cheryl, Sarah, let's see, Tony and John, and everyone else there. If I forgot to mention you, I'm sorry, but had such a great time meeting with all of those people at the Tropical Orchid Society. It was just a great group of people, had good fun. It's always the case when you have orchids at the center of everything. You know, a lot going on, and I just want to acknowledge you know, everyone. If you're watching, if you subscribe, it was good meeting you this past week and pretty recently. All right, let's get back to some of the orchids. What I have, okay, so I want to start over here, and this is the least showy, and it's kind of sad, and I'm not even going to get a close-up of this plant, but this is Cornelia Kalapana, and this is a big plant growing out of its pot. It was loaded a short time ago, and right now it has only one bloom on it, but it does have, if I turn the plant around, it does have 2 seed capsules on it. And this is a great plant. It's it's a good seed parent. Like I said, I got 2 seed capsules on this. I have previous crosses that I've made. I just registered recently a hybrid that I made from this plant. What I like about it, it's a really old hybrid, but what I like about it is how long lasting the flowers are. So this flower, this single flower in this plant, has been open, I would guess, about 3 or 4 weeks. And it's faded. It's the reason I'm not going to get a close-up. So it doesn't look great, but it's still open, and it's still kind of presentable. And then the other thing, that's in light of the previous bloom where I had have 2 capsules on this plant. It's a big plant. It can support these 2 capsules and flowers on it. So I'm pretty happy with this plant, and I'm happy to be using it in my hybrid efforts. All right, so let's put this guy back. And the other one that I want to show you is another plant that I've had. And I should mention that I've had Cornelia Kalapana, I think, for a little over 2 years. And even though I've only had this plant for a short time, it's already flowered for me numerous times, and I've already generated hybrids with it that are getting pretty large. Okay, let's move over to this. And this, if you've been watching my channel and you know me, this is Momilani Rainbow. This is my oldest orchid. I've got multiple plants, divisions of this plant. It seems to be doing very well. It's a small flower, flared, which I like, wonderfully fragrant. It's classical orchid fragrance on this. And I've also used this as a parent, more as a seed parent than anything else. So right now this plant has 1, 2, 3 spikes open, but then it's got another, and each of the spikes has 3 flowers on it. But then I've got another spike right here that is probably going to be open in another 2 or 3 weeks, so it may put on a final burst of flowers. The reason I'm showing this to you, again, because this is a nice size plant. I've got a tag, you can see, I think, hanging in the breeze, and I made a cross of this and the flower, and I'll get a close-up of this. The flower from what I made a cross onto is faded really quickly, so I know it's probably a successful cross. And I made this cross because I used one of my plants that I was really excited about last week. So if you watch my videos, you know what plant that is, and I crossed that really exciting plant to me onto this plant, and I think I have capsule formation. It will be it'll be a plant that a cross that I've already made before and I've already named. So this is just going to be an improved version of a previous cross that I made because of one of the parents is so much improved. But again, Momilani Rainbow just I mean, you know, does really well. The plants all do really well for me here. Flared petals, the flowers are a little small. Good parent, love this plant. All right, so let me put this back if I can figure out where it goes. Boy, this is, what happened to, oh, here it is. All right. So moving on a little bit more. So let me talk about these guys right here. So this is one of my, let's go on to this plant right here. So this is Mahina Yahiro, and the cultivar is Mishima. This plant I've had also for a while. So this one I got from Odom's Orchids in, I think, 2020. So you know, about 4 years ago, a little less than 4 years ago. It's bloomed for me repeatedly. I've made crosses onto this plant. Really nice, you know, big flowers. It's just a large, really prolific cattleya that is a consistent bloomer for me, and it does well here. So I've made crosses onto this. It's a good parent, so like that too. And I'm showing it to you. The flower, it only has 3 flowers on it right now, but it's a big plant, and it has 1, 2, 3. No, maybe that's not. Maybe it's just 1, 2. Okay, 3's over here. Oh, there it is. All right, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 4 sheaths where I think there's going to be 3 more flowers coming out of each sheath. So this has been open probably for maybe a couple of weeks. So I think these are going to be faded by the time the other ones are open. But just a really, you know, prolific, nice plant that, again, I've used for crosses, and it does well. I wish it had some flaring in it, but still, look at the color. When I get a close-up of this plant, you can see that there's some browning on the anther cap, which is, it's not good, it's not desirable, but I think that's a little unusual, and it may be because these blooms have been open for a little while. But I'm hopeful that the blooms on this plant are going to be open. Maybe not. Maybe these 3 will get cut off, but the other 4 sheaths on this plant, I think that they'll be open for the next show. So I'm happy to have that, and I'll be happy to bring Mahina Yahiro Mishima into the next show that I'm going to be attending. Okay, moving on to this one. This is. You know, I don't know what's wrong with me. I think a lot of these are. I keep on saying they're my favorites or one of my favorites, and you know, when my orchids are blooming, they are my favorites. All right, so this is Burana Beauty, and the cultivar is Burana. This is a plant that I got maybe a couple of years ago. It just blooms constantly. This was in a tiny pot, and it was just growing over the edge. So when I transplanted it into this larger pot, it just took off. I have had an explosion of new pseudobulbs coming out of it, and now I'm at the point where these pseudobulbs are releasing flowers. This puts out a new pseudobulb and then flowers, new pseudobulb and flowers, and a flower. And because I transplanted this and then there was an explosion, we're seeing also an explosion of flowers that are coming out of it. So right now we have flowers on two of the pseudobulbs are open, and it's a really nice yellow color with this red flaring. It's pretty striking, and then the lip has some red in the bottom of the lip as well. The fragrance on this is it's roses. It's classical roses, and it's just wonderful. So on here we have, like I said, 2 sheaths open. We have 3 more sheaths, each with, each with 3 flowers. This one only has 2 that isn't open yet. So at some point, 2, 4, 6, at some point it's going to have 12 flowers on this plant, and we'll see. These flowers may be faded by the time these come open, so they might not all be on the same time, but I think they will be. These flowers are very long-lived. I've used this for crossing as well, and it does well, but I don't want to, I'm probably going to use some of the later blooms. I don't want to spoil the look of the plant when I make the crosses, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a little bit, because I got some of the orchids I want to show you I've spoiled. All right, so the last one in the group behind me is, if you're noticing this big yellow right here, this is loaded. It's not peaked yet, but this is loaded, and this is Love Blushes. This is a Fred Clark cross, a Fred Clark hybrid. He likes using these parents in his crosses, so it's Schroeder's Love times William Farrell Cultivar Native Son, and he uses that in a lot of his crosses, and there's a good explanation for this, because look at this plant. Look at the results of this plant. It's just a really nice prolific plant. It has right now it's got, looks like 2, 3 of the spikes have open flowers on them. There's an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers that have yet to open. I've had this plant for about 4 years. It's bloomed before. I've used it in my crosses, and it's just a really good, vigorous plant. It is yellow with just a little bit of purple in the lip of the flower. So it's not as striking as some of the other ones that I like that have some contrasty color in there, but it's still a very prolific plant. There is a very subtle classical Cattleya fragrance that's associated with this. It's not really fragrant, but it's okay, you know. And look at the number of flowers on this plant. So I'll take it. This is growing over clearly growing over the edge of the pot with some roots growing out. So after this thing blooms, I think it's time to divide. Unlike many of my colleagues, a lot of my colleagues just would take a plant like this and shove it in a bigger pot. And most of my plants hang. Almost all of my plants are on these hangers. So I can't really hang a plant this big. I know some of you may comment, oh yeah, get a bigger hanger, but no, I'm going to use these smaller pots, and I'd rather divide the plants. And I'm sure that I could get a real a real showstopper, a huge specimen, if I just put this in a bigger pot. But I got a pergola, I got things hanging on my fence. I got no place to put a huge pot with a plant like this. So this is probably gonna get divided. All right. So again, this is Love Blushes, and this is from this is a Fred Clark hybrid. All right. I've got a lot of other orchids that are about to bloom. A lot of first blooms, a lot of repeat bloomers. It's just things are doing real well. The temperature is just right. It's a good time to to grow orchids here in Southwest Florida, because my Cattleyas are just going nuts. Okay, so with that, what I want to do for the last part of my video is get behind the camera and show you a few of my orchids and show you one that is just starting to bloom that I think is just going to be spectacular. But then I also want to show you some other blooms and what happened to yet some other blooms on my orchids. All right, so let me get behind the camera and show you just a few more plants. Okay, and we're back, and I think these two are beautiful, but you know, other people might think it's sad. So these are the result of two successful crosses onto Clear Stars. And Clear Stars is a Nodosa hybrid that I have that I just really like. This thing was blooming beautifully a week ago. It looked good, and then what happened is I made crosses, and now the flowers have faded, which is what they should do. Yay! So it looks like a successful cross. I'm pretty excited about what I crossed it onto. So these are really large Nodosa hybrid flowers, and then I crossed it onto, I think, two different yellows. I think one with flaring, one with just a huge lip, and we'll see what comes out of that. But the flowers have faded, and that's just what happens. So we'll see how the capsules develop. All right, let's go over to here. This is Odom's Grand Delight. I don't have a good angle on this. This is a plant that is in a huge pot. And I actually crossed these two flowers on the bottom right. I crossed them. Let me get a little better angle on this as I go around the other side of this palm tree. So I crossed this flower and that flower. I think last week also with the other ones. But then look what I got. I got new blooms. This one just barely cracked open today. So this has some life left in it, and then the other bloom is right there. Okay, let me take a look at the last orchid right here, and I'm pretty excited about this one right here. And this is something, it's just starting to open now. I think I want it to slow down a little bit. We'll see how this goes. I'll have to check the name on this and put it on the screen, but this is the first bloom of this hybrid. This was gifted to me a few years ago, and it has not yet bloomed for me. But this plant is now, it's been growing, it's been doing well, but what I want you to notice is the number of bloom spikes that I have coming out on this plant in this pot right here. So as we look at this, let's go around, and there is one, and there's a few flowers that are just starting to open on this bloom spike, and as we move around, there's another bloom spike, and then another one there where there might be one flower that's open, starting to open, another one there just starting to open, and as we move down, if I could find it, right there. So that's another one, and then finally, where is it? Right there. That's the last one right there. So I'm really excited about this because it is just going to be so loaded. I usually don't grow plants that are this big, this tall, but it's been doing okay. It's happy just in a pot hanging on my fence, and we'll see how it does. What I'm hoping is that it hangs on for my next show that's about a little over, it's not quite 4 weeks away, and I don't know if it'll do that. So one of the bloom spikes that's really small, you know, that'll be right there, that'll be bloom certainly, but then I hope these other ones can hang in for a few more weeks, and we'll see. I mean, that's not even open yet, but they seem to be progressing pretty quickly. All right, so that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video of mostly blooms. You know, these are not first blooms, but more blooms. If you like my video and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share. Sorry, I'm showing this at the end, not good. Click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.